Oh, hi everyone. It's Susie Crew again from Esoteric Trading Solutions. I hope you're all good. You're looking after yourself and being kind to yourself, being kind to your family and friends, being kind to your animals, and just making this world a much better place than what it is. One of my clients, I always get, it's funny with all my clients, my Slack system, I always get questions about Ripple and XRP more than anything else. I look at all different coins, I look at all different technologies. I don't necessarily just focus on XRP, I look at all sorts of things, VeChain, Tron, you name it, and do reviews on everything. But this is the one I get the most questions for. And, some of you guys out there, subscribers, say that I only look at XRP, but I don't. But the thing is, it's the one that I always seem to get questions on. And one of my clients wanted me to address a fellow called, I don't know who this guy is, but I replied to cryptocurrency news. He sent me a YouTube. And again, as you guys know, I don't watch any YouTubes out there for cryptocurrency because a lot of people just don't know anything. And I really worry that the subscribers are getting told, the people that watch YouTube's are getting told the wrong thing. So that's, I guess, why, I sort of get sucked into this YouTube thing, answering people, because I just feel that, you're all getting, you're not getting told the right thing. And I just want to make sure that, the right thing's being told, because, it really, really annoys me when stuff's not actually correct. So the title of this YouTube is "The World Needs More Liquidity Than 600 billion a day," as per cryptocurrency news said. It needs more like 2 trillion a day at least. So I've got the obligatory disclaimer there. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have a financial advising license. I don't give advice for investments. I don't know your financial position. I don't know your risk tolerance, how old you are, your, risk profile, all that sort of thing. So the obligatory disclaimer. But this video carries on from the last one I did just a couple of days ago about XRP case study, reduction in circulating supply and price. And if you have a look at that, it's also, good information for this one as well, because everyone focuses on the circulating supply and the total supply as being static. And as time goes on, whether it be a year or whether it be 6 months or whether it be 2 years, that circulating supply and that total supply is not static. Now, I've told you before in the last video that Coinbase don't update that circulating supply. In any other market in the world, whether it be equity markets or whether it be bond markets or currency or whatever it might be, the circulating supply is always updated monthly. And, as I said in the previous video, which we'll just go through very quickly, circulating supply can change just simply because someone died who happened to allegedly have $3 billion of XRP. And when he died, a very well-known person, who was, a family member of a very well-known bank in the US, the largest custodian in the business, very wealthy. When this person died, unfortunately for him, it was horrible. Felt very sad for him, actually. He allegedly had $3 billion worth of XRP. So if that was true, and I believe it is true, then the circulating supply already that we know about with XRP should be 3 billion less the 39 billion or the 40 billion. So this should be updated all the time and so should the total supply. Now, people are always banging on about XRP's total supply and circulating supply. And I've always said it doesn't make any difference, because the problem they're trying to fix is a huge, massive problem, a huge, massive cash settlement problem that the whole world has. And if we say the whole world on a daily basis, and I can prove it to you, needs 2 trillion a day minimum for liquidity, 2 trillion, and I'll say it again, not 600 billion like this cryptocurrency guy said, or whatever his name is. I don't know his name. It's 2 trillion or more, and that's when times are just normal. You can appreciate when times are volatile in financial markets, fiat markets or whatever, the liquidity issue becomes even higher, okay? Because without liquidity, banks can fall over, and we saw that in 2008 and 2009. Without liquidity, companies can fall over, individuals can go bankrupt without liquidity. In other words, cash, pure, simple cash and access to cash. Now, as you know, again, and I'll repeat this again, XRP and xRapid can process and can cash settle any sort of foreign currency in the world, anywhere, within 3 seconds. And it's cash settlement. And I'll repeat it again, cash. So, you know, again, I'll state this again. You know, I can send some money today, Friday, whatever. Sorry, today's Saturday. You know, I don't even know what day it is. I can, sorry guys, I can send some money to my sister-in-law today. But, you know, she won't get it until Wednesday. But if my sister-in-law needed that cash on Monday, she won't actually have the cash in her bank account. And that's the whole issue. You know, corporations, banks, financial institutions, people need cash instantly. And again, the technology of Ripple and XRP are not a bank coin. They are the technology, and XRP are for the world, right? And again, there's 7.1 billion or so people in the world. So let's just get into this. So looking at the previous video, and thank you guys for whoever watched it, there was over 10,000 views. As I said in that video, circulating supply, and I'll just give you a very quick rundown of that, and then we'll go into address the other fellow. Circulating supply can be reduced quite easily and very quickly. Okay, we know it can be reduced by escrow and locker because we know the founders have done that. We know that circulating supply can be reduced because very large fund managers or institutional clients bed down XRP. They hold it in their portfolio of, say, 12 billion or 12 trillion or a trillion, and it never sees the light of day because it makes up a core holding of their portfolio. No different to you if you have an equity fund or whatever, you have equities, and you happen to like, you know, Netflix, right? You never sell your Netflix, but you might sell something else. So that Netflix you hold forever doesn't come back into the market. And that's what very large fund managers do. They hold XRP in their portfolio, and it's never to see the light of day. And again, coins can be lost. As I said, you know, the poor fellow that died, and there was 3 billion of XRP that no one can access because no one had his private key. Okay, people can lose their PIN numbers. I'm not going to go over this too quickly, but you get the general idea, okay? Exchanges hoard, people hoard, you know, whatever, banks, you know, whatever. But, you know, you get the idea, you know. But what I want to go over now, and you can look at that on the other one, is, you know, let's talk about this crypto guy. Now, I don't know where he gets his figures from, seriously, because, you know, his figures are just, you know, just ridiculous. And I want to give you an overview of the figures to where I get like at least 2 trillion. You know, if we look at the assets under management of the top 500 asset managers in the world, we're looking at 100 trillion. Okay. Did I miss something here? Sorry, before I do that, I do this very quickly. So if I've got spelling errors in that, my apologies. What I want to say before that is the difference between retail clients and wholesale clients. Wholesale client is called an institutional client, okay? So they can be pension funds, mutual funds, money managers, insurance companies, investment banks, commercial trusts, endowment funds, and hedge fund investors, or even high net worth individuals. In other words, wholesale funds and wholesale clients are like the whales. They have billions, and not even billions, but trillions. To give you an example of this, Fidelity just came out, and Fidelity Investments has $7.2 trillion under management. Okay, now like Fidelity, they're never going to turn over in a day $7 trillion worth of money. You know, they're going to have, of their 7 trillion, they might turn over, say, $1 trillion. But you can see my point. The other 6 trillion could be invested, some of that money could be invested in XRP, and it never sees the light of day. Okay, so, you know, institutional funds have enormous amounts of money. You know, it could be people, you know, they manage people's superannuation fund, they manage corporate supers, they have high net worth clients. Fidelity, this is, they have high net worth clients globally of 27 million. Now, normally high net worth clients is a client that has a house, you know, has their super fund, you know, pays for, you know, the cars paid off and everything else, and they have investable funds over and above their living in their life of 20 million or more. Now, some of these investment houses may say they need 50 million, right? So these high net worth clients are worth a lot of money. They have investable funds over and above their property portfolio or whatever it might be. So we're talking very wealthy people, you know, people like the Bill Gates or whatever. So again, institutional clients are also hedge funds, market intermediaries, and family offices. Now, family offices are where, you know, say someone's made an enormous amount of money, you know, say, you know, Jackie Ma from Alibaba, you know, and he puts it in a family office where it's run with a corporate treasury and they look after his money. But again, they deal like a corporate treasury, you know, and they, you know, deal in the market. They have billions to play with in terms of the financial markets, okay? So if we look at, you know, and again, going back to these figures, because I don't know whether this fellow got his figures from, but if we go back to the market, okay, total assets under management in the market for these, you know, for these fund managers, even in 2016, was 81 trillion, okay, 81 trillion. Now that's mainly equities, okay. The market has gone up since that time of 2016, and equities have gone up. So the total funds now under management would be about 100 trillion. All right, but let's just go to my next thing. So you get the general idea. Sorry if I'm a bit disjointed today, but just having one of those days as usual. Not to worry. We can't always be perfect. I'm certainly not, that's for sure. Anyway, so let's go back to where did this fellow get his erroneous data from, because it's just not correct. So if we go assets under management, the top 500 managers, and you can look this up on Google or whatever, there's 100 trillion. Daily FX averages 5 to 7 trillion a day. Okay, 5 to 7 trillion daily foreign exchange. In times of extreme volatility or just volatility, this can go up to 12 trillion a day. Okay, 12 trillion. You know, I worked for banks and we could do $1 billion trade quite easily, you know, or 2 billion, whatever. You know, and if it's very volatile, you could double or quadruple what you normally do in volume just because of that. So on average, say it's 5 to 7 trillion daily, but when there's more volatility and the Fed raises rates, interest rates go up, or, you know, China's, you know, changing its, you know, interest rate, or, you know, the stock market's going down in China, then it's going to be very volatile in terms of the foreign exchange market. So, you know, as I said, it can, you know, increase quite substantially. If we look at the cash and the money system globally, it approximates 200 trillion. Okay. If we look at sovereign wealth funds, which are big funds for the government of different countries, like the Norwegian one, which is one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world, which is over $1 trillion. The Norwegians were very smart. They're only a very small population of 3.5 million. And basically all their oil receipts, they were very clever, all their oil receipts they put in a sovereign wealth fund because they believed that oil would eventually run out. And they said, right, we're going to invest all these oil receipts, revenue, into a sovereign wealth fund, and we're going to grow that for the good of the people. And that's what they've done. So they have one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world, over $1 trillion. So again, sovereign wealth funds, you know, 12 trillion. The derivatives market, and again, this fellow didn't even include the derivatives market, you know, which can be swaps, it can be futures, it can be options, it can be cross-currency swaps. It can be warrants. It can be all sorts of things. You know, oil swaps, copper swaps, you name it, gold swaps, silver swaps. But my point is the derivatives market is 1.4 quadrillion or 1,400 trillion. Now, the derivatives market has a cash problem, settlement problem, a instant cash problem, an instant cash settlement problem. Again, any of these markets, generally you have to do a trade today and you don't get your cash for 2 days later, okay, in any of these markets, because you go through SWIFT. Now that's crazy in this in this lifetime of ours where everything's supposed to be instant. We still have to wait at a minimum 2 days for our cash. And if you're doing a derivative somewhere, in the Middle East and against an Australian bank or whatever, it might be longer to get your cash if you're doing a cross-currency derivative swap. So my point is the derivatives market's very large. It has a need for cash, and it has a need for cash settlement instantly. The bond market, government bonds, corporate bonds, whatever, globally is 112 trillion. The equity market globally is an $80 trillion market. It so happens the bond market is bigger, and a lot of people don't realize that. I don't know where he got his figures from. He talks about SWIFT, who deal with 11,000 financial institutions, but he assumed that that's the only amount of institutions in the world, and it's not. There's more institutions clearly, but just to say that there's 48,000 banks in the world. So SWIFT, doesn't even cover half of them. It's lucky if it covers, 25% of them. If we talk about the repo market, if we talk about the mortgage-backed security market, if we talk about the, collateralized mortgage-backed securities or, commercial mortgage-backed securities, if we talk about any sort of alternative derivative or alternative asset, I should say, we might be looking at 50 trillion. But my point is all these markets have a cash settlement problem, okay? All of them. And XRP and xRapid is the only system that can do that within 3 to 5 seconds or 1 to 3 seconds, can do it cheaply in foreign currency. As Arrington said when he did it for his hedge fund, he transferred 50 million. Was it 50 million? 50 million or 50 billion? 50 million, I think. It was 50 million. And it cost him 30 cents, 50 million, and he got it within 3 seconds. Okay? No one else can do this stuff. So I don't know why there's so many dissenters here, particularly when we have got technology after technology on the crypto exchanges that are just garbology. I'll say it again. EOS is garbology. Even the one of the founders of, a developer of Bitcoin who would know, said that EOS is a disaster and it's going to, die a horrible death within 5 years. Well, I would even say it's going to die a horrible death within a year and a half. It's a scam. It took 4 billion from the cryptocurrency market and it still doesn't work properly and has no clients. But yet it trades at $5. If these YouTubers have got any grain of salt, why don't they focus on all the technology that doesn't work and all the cryptocurrencies in the market that are overpriced because they shouldn't be there? If technology doesn't work and they don't have clients, why should something be valued at $5? It appears to me that Ripple, has the clients, has the book, has the revenue, and yet the crypto market doesn't price it where it should be in terms of XRP, and yet every other cryptocurrency that has no revenue, no clients, the technology doesn't even work, is valued, $5, $18, Neo, IOTA got up to God knows what, it's at 50 cents now. I mean, there's talk that they're a scam. It doesn't work. Stuff doesn't work. I mean, I don't know what I need to say, man. I mean, the whole cryptocurrency market, I've been frustrated for 2 years because, people just don't get it. They don't, they pay all this money for stuff that doesn't work. And all they keep doing is slamming Ripple and XRP. You know, if you're worth your grain of salt as a YouTuber, seriously, and that's why I don't watch any YouTube, you know, bloody focus on technology that doesn't work so clients don't lose their money. You know, that's the whole point. I mean, there's so many cryptocurrencies in the market that I can tell you they're scams. You know, every day I do review after review for my clients. I just don't focus on Ripple or XRP. I focus on so many different cryptocurrencies. I do full reviews on them. You know, I test the technology. A lot of the time the technology doesn't work. I download things. I, you know, buy the coin and I transfer it, and I do, you know, I join up to its whatever the, you know, its system is, and half the time it's garbology. You know, again, you know, one was sentiment, SAN. You know, the thing was trading at $6. You know, it didn't even have a, sorry, I'm going off now, but it's just one of those days. It is Saturday, and I haven't had a coffee yet, so I'm probably a bit tired. But, you know, the thing didn't even have a beta. You know, it had no model or anything, and it's trading at $6, no clients. And then, you know, it says it's got something. So I try to download it. It doesn't work. I mean, seriously, this market has got to grow up and mature, because honestly, you know, so many people are losing so much money, and it's just not right. And I really wish that people that do subscribe to different YouTubers, some of them, honestly, I have to be honest with you, actually not just some of them, a lot of them honestly just don't know anything. And it really bothers me. Anyway, look, I've done that rant, and I apologize for that, but I don't want to, you know, anyway. So what this fellow said, I don't know his name, it was Cryptocurrency News. It wasn't CJ, by the way, it was some other guy. He said, what did he say? He said that, you know, the world only needs 600 billion of liquidity a day. And I'm actually disputing that, because that's really not correct. And he gave a valuation of XRP of $30. And, you know, obviously, you know, his figures are completely not correct. Okay, because, you know, just as a minimum, you know, we have a $2 trillion problem. Okay, so as you know, more than a $2,000 trillion problem. You know, because our derivatives market is 1.2 quadrillion. So we have more than a $2,000 trillion problem. So sorry, I've got myself a bit on a skew here. So the world, as I said, he said something like the world needs only 5 trillion a day and only 600 bill or something. But it's not correct. The world needs, you know, a 2,000 trillion in funding a day for everything to work properly. Okay, there are a lot more banks than 11,000. That's not correct. 48,000 banks and hundreds of thousands of financial institutions that all have a cash settlement problem instantly. I do, because the banks never give me my money straight away. I go through PayPal, I never get it straight away. I go through Swift. You know, someone pays me money, it doesn't come in for 3 days. Everyone's got a cash settlement problem. He also said that it would take 5 years for xRapid to happen. Now, I don't believe that, and I'll tell you why. Because me, you, and everyone else, and the banks and the financial institutions and the high net worth clients all want instant cash settlement. It'll be driven by the clients up. And also, I don't want to pay the banks exorbitant fees. You know, I get something in from PayPal for a US dollar, right? And this is fair income. You know, one of my subscribers pays for a prescription. US dollars, you know, $400. And I get a $50 US dollar charge from PayPal. And it doesn't come to me, that money doesn't come to me for 3 or 4 days. So you mean to tell me, and looking at what this guy said, it's going to take 5 years? When, you know, that's like saying to me, I'm going to be happy for every $400 transaction I get, I'm paying not only the $50 in fees from PayPal, right? But then the exchange that they convert my Aussie to is even worse. And I'll give you an example of this. $400, and say if the wholesale Aussie dollar rate is, say, 72 cents, right? So I need a lower denominator to get more Aussie dollars. They actually say, you know, it's at 76, so I actually get less Aussie. So not only is it costing me more in terms of fees that they take out of me, but it's also the US to Aussie dollar conversion. So this is not correct, because I'm not happy with the fees that I pay all these banks and all these, you know, settlement people and Stripe and PayPal, because they take a lot of fees out of me just for a small business, but also it's a foreign exchange rate they charge me. It's massive. And again, just to do a $400 transaction, I'm paying $100 in fees. You know, so this will be driven by clients. The client's up. 5 years in technology is a long time. This will be less than 5 years, I can assure you. You know, we are talking about 2018. The professional market will be into crypto next year. This will happen within a year, I can tell you right now. 5 years is like a lifetime in technology, a lifetime. And as I said, Fidelity had 27 million of global high net worth clients. Now, again, it's going to be driven by clients. I don't want to pay $100 fees for every time I have a $400 receipt. You know, crazy, absolutely mental. Again, he assumes that it's 100 billion of coins when it's not 100 billion of coins. What's important is the circulating volume. And we already know the circulating volume of 40 billion less that poor person that died, who, you know, no one can find his private key for 3 billion. We already know the circulating volume of XRP should be down, you know, to, you know, what is it, 36 billion or something, not 39 or 40, right? And that circulating volume should be adjusted every month by Coinbase if they were doing their job properly, just like what you see in other financial markets, whether it be bond markets or equity markets. Again, you know, there's trillions of transactions done a day, trillions. I mean, this guy says, you know, there's a couple of 100,000 or a million. He's got no idea. Globally, there are trillions of transactions that get done by, you know, so many different people and organizations. You know, as I said, there's 7.1 billion people in the world, 7.1 trillion people in the world. You know, if we assume that, you know, half of them are children, you know, what does that leave? Say 3 trillion, and we assume that, you know, some are young, you know, then, you know, you can get an idea of just how many transactions we all do. But, you know, and again, liquidity. There's a cost of liquidity. Liquidity is everything in financial markets. Everything. Without liquid assets, without liquidity, liquid assets or liquid securities or cash or liquid security that you can sell, like XRP, to fund your liquids book, you can go broke. And we saw that in 2008 and 2009. Liquidity is everything. And what it means is that some assets are not liquid. You can't liquidate them within 1 to 2 seconds or 3 seconds for cash. i.e., if you have a property, you know, and, you know, the market's imploding, right? And you need cash because you've got a margin loan and the stock market's going down, you need cash within 5 seconds. You know, you can't get the cash straight away to fund your margin loan. So therefore, you get closed out at the worst level. Liquid assets that can be converted to cash. Liquidity is everything, you know, and the world needs a liquidity storage. Everyone does. You know, some say the stock market went down because people had a lack of access to their cash because they couldn't top up their margin loans. You see what I'm saying? You can't just go and get your cash, you know, transfer, and it comes into your margin loan when the stock market's going down. Anyway, as Arrington said, he did a $50 million transfer. It cost him 30 cents, and it took him 1 to 3 seconds. You know, again, this guy said, I mean, where does he get this figure from? Seriously, 300 billion to 600 billion liquidity issue for daily requirement. It's just bunkum. You know, it's over 2,000 trillion. You know, again, it's crap. Sorry, it's 2,000 trillion. I keep getting my numbers wrong too, because we've got the 1.4 trillion or 1.4 quadrillion derivatives market. So, you know, that's where I'm coming from, right? I know this has been a bit of rattle off today. I'm sorry. I just get tired a bit. I don't know, whatever. So if we assume all that we've got, and my, you know, need for cash liquidity is real, because I've shown you the statistics before. You can look them up on Google, whatever. And I know, because I've worked in markets for a long time, I just know. I know what it's like working on a desk and you've got no liquidity. You know, you can fall over, right? If you don't have money in, you know, you're a bank yourself and you've got no money, you know, what happens? You know, people start taking money out of the bank because they think you're going to fall over, and then liquidity becomes a worse issue. So you sell all your assets, and what happens when you don't have any assets left? You go broke, okay? And there's a run on the bank, just like in Greece. So if we assume all that, and I do an extremely simple valuation, an extremely simple one, okay? And we go, right, ripple of the global settlement world problem in a day, you know, which is basically 2,000 trillion. There's so many friggin' numbers here, I'm confused myself. God, it's really confusing. Of that, you know, cash settlement problem, Ripple only gets 10% of that, okay? You know, they only get 10% of the business, all right? So that's that, right? There. They only get 10% of clients of that business, right? But of those 10% clients, say only half of them, you can do your own figures. Use XRP or xRapid, okay? So then that becomes a $10.1 trillion problem in a day, right? So even that, 10.1, and we assume total supply of 100 billion, which is not correct. It should be the circulating supply. You know, we're going to come up with one XRP at $101, okay? Just on that. But as I said, 100 billion or 99 billion total supply is not correct. It's what is actually available in the financial markets. All right, what's available? Because if coins have been lost, they've been burnt, they've been stolen, they've been, you know, destroyed, someone's lost their private key, or they just don't know where they are, you know, it's on a computer and they threw out their computer, then those coins are lost. You know, if someone transferred something from one exchange to another and did the wrong private key and the wrong tag, those things are lost in the ether forever. And those coins should not be in the circulating supply of XRP. So even if we assume the worst figure, 100 bill, you know, we're going to come up with 101. Okay? I think myself personally, even assuming that the 60 billion from escrow is going to come out eventually, but it may not, because they could buy, Ripple could buy that back, as I said in my previous YouTube. Let's just say we work off 50 billion, right? We're still going to come up with one XRP of $202, right? If we work off 40 billion, which is the correct one, circulating, we come up with $252.50 for XRP. But we know it's 36 bill. So, you know, my valuation I did ages ago of $344 or something was correct, and that's basically, you know, a year ago, I think. You know, but this is off very low figures. Now, globally, we're only assuming that that Ripple gets 10% of the global cash settlement problem, instant global cash settlement problem. They only get 10%. And of that, of that 10% of clients, only 5% of them use XRP as a funding tool, as a liquidity tool. So you can see what I'm saying here. And basically also what I'm saying is, without liquidity, the whole system of financial markets doesn't work. Now, I saw that in 2008. There was an absolute liquidity crisis. You know, funding liquidity where there's a cost to it, you know, through LIBOR rates or funding rates or short-term money market rates went through the roof. There was a squeeze on liquidity, and if you couldn't find liquid cash, you would have gone down the gurgler. There was a couple of banks here. The government had to bail out on Saturday because they ran out of liquidity. In other words, they ran out of cash, right? And what happens when people think a bank's going broke? They've got to sell all their assets and give you back your money. But then, you know, you get more and more people trying to take their money out because there's a run on the bank, which means they have to sell more of their liquid assets. But they can't sell their property or anything else. They have to sell their liquid assets, right? So that's pretty much it. Anyway, guys, there is always a disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not licensed for everything else. But I do know my stuff, and please take what other people say with a grain of salt, seriously. Because honestly, I really feel there's a lot of incorrect information out there. And yeah, I know I've said to you I don't watch the YouTubers. I, did 2 years ago, and honestly, what I heard was just absolute bunkum. I got to say, garbology. And I was so frustrated. That's why I started doing this job, because not that I want to, because I'm going to have a whinge to you guys. I feel like a whingy day today. I do a lot of work here, and I never get any money for it. And it's like a labor of love, But I just I hope XRP honestly reflects its true value, and a lot of these cryptocurrencies that are still way overpriced, just belted down when the professional money comes in. But anyway, guys, look after yourself. Please be kind to yourself. Please be kind to yourself, your family, your friends, your neighbours. Please be kind to your animals, particularly your putty cats. On my YouTube, I've got a picture of my Gussie, my beautiful Gussie, who is 17. On my YouTube, you can see him, and I still miss him every day. I really do. I love that cat so much. And, just look after yourself and be kind to everyone around you. Life is really, really short. And as I can see with the grey hair, I'm getting older by the minute. All right, guys, I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you.